wanted to come on tonight and talk a little bit about the feeling of guilt. I've been seeing a lot of posts about guilt and feeling guilty about different things. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because, I work with Young Living. I love Young Living oils. I love their products. And one of the things with Young Living when I became a member is that I learned it's not just about physical health. It's about spiritual health. It's about emotional health, in addition to that physical health. And health encompasses a lot of different areas. People say they want to get healthy and they exercise and they eat better, but we tend to forget about that other part of our being, which is our spiritual and our emotional being. And it's just as important to be spiritually and emotionally healthy as it is to be physically healthy. And I hear people and they talk about guilt, and guilt has a lot of different meanings. Some people are guilty because they feel guilty because of something they've done in the past. And, they feel they didn't do something right, or they've hurt someone, or, they've done something bad, and they want to hold on to that guilt. Well, the problem with guilt is it causes a lot of physical issues as well. If you feel guilty, it can actually cause physical illness. It can cause you anxiety and worry. It can really make you feel like you're not worthy, like you've done something wrong, so you deserve anything bad that happens to you. Could keep you stressed out, fear that somebody's going to find out something that you've done that you don't want them to find out. And so you always have that fear of being discovered. And so it's really important to get a handle on guilt. And there's different types of guilt. Like I said, guilt for something that you've done. But there's also people hold guilt for things that they didn't do. Like a lot of times children who've been abused, sexually, emotionally, physically, they tend to feel guilty for that. Parents, when they get a divorce, sometimes children feel guilty thinking that something they did caused their parents to get divorced. And it was nothing that they did. And just like a person who's abused, it's not their fault. They didn't do it, but still they feel the sense of guilt, like they've done something wrong, and they hold on to it. And then there's guilt, like I guess they call it a perceived guilt, like, oh, if I had done this differently, then this might have turned out better. We do that a lot as parents. I do that even with, when I look back at how I raised my children, I say, oh, if I had done this, then maybe this would have been different. Or maybe I shouldn't have done this way. And we look back on what we've done and we question ourselves. And sometimes we feel guilty for that. Like when I went to school and I worked when my kids were younger. And so it pulled me away from them, and I didn't spend as much time with them as I felt like I could have or maybe should have. And so sometimes I feel guilty about that and think, well, maybe I should have not gone to school right away, or maybe I should have, not had a job. But then on the flip side of that, if I hadn't had that job, would we have been able to pay our bills? So there's different things, but we tend to feel guilty over a lot of things. And we need to find a way to let go of that guilt. So if you've done something wrong that you feel guilty for, the best thing to do is to face it, to go ahead, confess it. God tells us that if we confess our sins, He's faithful and just to forgive us and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And the Bible also tells us that Jesus didn't come into the world to condemn the world. God's not here to condemn us. He wants us to confess, and He takes that away from us. He takes that guilt. He makes us white as snow, clean, He takes that away from us. When Jesus died on the cross, He paid for our sins. And, I think as Christians, we have a hard time. We want to ask for forgiveness, and we believe that God has forgiven us, but we don't want to forgive ourselves. And that's one of the things we have to be able to do. We need to forgive ourselves just like Christ has forgiven us. Another thing is, if it's guilt over not something that we've done, but like I say, past regrets or things that we didn't even really do, we need to face it. We need to look at that and say, why do I feel this way? Why am I feeling guilty? And we need to be able to release that guilt. I've noticed that, as I've come across things that I need to face and release, I've really turned to my essential oils. There's essential oils that are really good with releasing emotions. Clarity is a good one to use with guilt. It kind of helps bring it all to mind and clarify, what is the guilt? What exactly are you feeling? Why are you feeling it? And then to find a way to let it go. You tell yourself, that was a learning experience. I did the best I could when I was in that situation. I've learned things from it. I'm wiser because of things that I've done. And I can let it go. I can let go of the guilt. Things that I've done wrong, I give it to God. I let it go. He already paid for it. I don't have to hold on to that guilt. We just got to find a way to forgive ourselves. We feel like, when we hold on to that guilt, it just changes our personality and it makes us feel like we're not worthy, that if something bad happens to us, that we deserve it. And that's not the truth at all. The truth is, you're made in the image of God. He loves you. There's people that love you. We don't want you to feel guilty about anything. We want you to face whatever it is you're feeling guilty about, to be able to get past it, to move on, and to enjoy life, knowing that you're forgiven and you're loved. So if you're dealing with anything and you just need someone to talk to, I want you to know I'm here. I'll be happy to talk to you. I do classes sometimes on emotions and oils, and I'll be happy to sit down and do a one-on-one class with you, or invite you to a group if you're interested. Anyway, let go of the guilt. You are forgiven. You are loved. You are made in the image of God. And He is not condemning you. He's loving you. And He wants you to have blessings and abundance and peace and happiness. He wants all those things for you. Y'all have a really great evening. Talk to you soon.